We got one of these exhaust pipe expanders from Harbor Freight, and there's some mixed reviews, and you have to know how to use it if you don't want to break it. We have a piece of exhaust pipe that we need to expand the end of to fit onto the system that we're working on, and it's going to be a great example to use this with. The first thing we need to do whenever we take it out of the package is to take everything apart and grease everything up so that there's not metal to metal grinding, because there's going to be a lot of force being applied to stretch the pipe, and everything needs to slide smoothly. I'll pull off the C-clip on the end of the threads. Now we can unthread the rod. Now you've got all these pie slices that are held together with the O-rings. Take off the O-rings. Now the most important part that you need to grease is the threads. If you don't grease anything else, grease the threads, because this is where most of the pressure is going to be applied. And if you don't have grease here, it's just going to grind into that bolt and the threads will wear away in no time. We want to grease everything else so that everything slides very easily. Now on each one of these sections, I'm going to apply grease. We'll grease the end caps. I'm adding extra grease onto these sliding faces here because that's where a lot of the pressure is also going to be. This is going to be pushing down really hard on things, so I want that to slide as well. And the nut as well. And it feels a lot different with grease. Lastly, I'm just going to reinstall that C-clip. The expander actually won't fit into this piece of pipe that we're working on. This is a 2-inch pipe and this fits 2 1/8 minimum. So it won't fit into this piece, but we'll try it in this larger piece. This is a piece of 3-inch pipe and it goes up to 3.5. From what I've seen, if it's sticking out on the edge, you're going to have a lot more pressure right there, and that's where you're going to start breaking these tools. I've got it snugged up by hand. Let's go ahead and get the ratchet. Once it gets to the point where it's too tight, you can't take it any farther, break it loose, go the opposite direction and loosen it a little bit, and then go back and tighten it up. And that's as tight as it'll go, so I'll loosen it up. And I'm starting to get that farther. Now we'll loosen it up. So far, I've gotten this on there pretty tight, and I don't visually see any expansion. It might just be tapered where I can't see it. I'll keep going and see if it expands more. I'm out of leverage with the ratchet, so I'm gonna go up to a breaker bar where I have more leverage. Yeah, it's definitely easier with the breaker bar. I'm gonna try to loosen it back. Now we'll retighten. It looks to me like it is expanding the pipe, but right now it's not very round. So I'm gonna loosen this back, twist it a little bit so these pushers are in a different direction, and then tighten it back up and see if it rounds that out. Definitely is getting tight. Now I can pull this out and readjust. I'll retighten as much as I can with the ratchet. Whenever I pull the tool out, it doesn't look very round, but let's see if it really expanded the hole. And right now, looks like I'm at 2 inches and 7/8 is the biggest the diameter is on this side. And on the other side, it's 2 7/8. So there's really not a difference between this side that we were expanding here, other than it sort of stretched and deformed it, but I really don't see much of an expansion. Here's the piece that we've been working on. You can see where the slices were pushing up against the outside. And I'm just curious, this is another piece of this same pipe, if it fits over, and it looks like the diameters are identical. It didn't really expand it at all. The piece here that we tried to expand is the same wall thickness as the piece of exhaust that we needed to expand. And it didn't do anything to this pipe, so it for sure wouldn't be doing anything to this piece of exhaust. On the picture there, you can see a clear step of where they're expanding it, going from a smaller to a larger diameter. That's not what I experienced, and whenever we're working with this pipe, this is just steel pipe. It's not stainless steel, obviously with how rusted and corroded it is. And on the bottom of the package it says, for use with mild and aluminized steel pipes, which is what these are, mild steel pipes. Not for use on stainless steel pipes. Stainless steel is going to be a lot harder, obviously. These are just mild steel, and I'm not getting any results. Even if you can get more force on that tool, it's getting pretty tricky. I mean, if you have one person standing on this pipe and you're cranking down on it with the breaker bar, it still wants to flip up, and there's not much more force you can apply to this to get it to expand. And with the amount of force that we did apply, I didn't see virtually any expansion. Maybe if we were working with aluminum pipe or a much thinner steel wall pipe, you would have good luck with this product. In our case, it just didn't do what it needed to do. There was no damage to this. Sometimes people have problems with the threads stripping out, and applying all the grease to the product is really what's going to help keep those threads intact. So there wasn't any damage to the product, it just didn't work.